I've done some of these on that side. I've not done any from this side. I want to thank Chad Tips and Joe Pat Cope. This was their idea. And they both didn't dress up. I don't understand that. Not that I dressed up, but they didn't dress up at all. So I'm A-okay with that, by the way. What we're going to do, I'm going to give you a quick rundown. I'm going to introduce everybody. And I'm going to try to remember everybody's name, first of all. But I think we have all the coaches here except for Shelbyville. And I got an email this morning, the Hickses are out of town and they will not be here today. So we don't have anybody at all from Shelbyville here, right? That brings me to my second thing. I gave each coaching staff a ballot for an all-district team and also for their projected order finish. If you do not feel comfortable voting on any of that, if you're a girls coach and don't want to vote on boys, if you're a boys coach and don't want to vote on girls, or if you just don't want to vote on girls at all, let's not worry about that. And what I will do, if it's okay with you guys, why don't we just combine the two and just say, hey, the media day projected finish is this, the media day all district team is this. Is that fair to everybody, or do you want to break it up coaches and media? Is there anybody that wants to break it up coaches and media? Okay, then we'll do it that way. And I appreciate everybody being here. Before we get started, one of our members of the media was recognized by the TSSAA for his distinguished service. Maurice Patton I didn't realize he was this old. He's been at this for a long, long time. He's with the Daily Herald in Columbia. He's worked everywhere. I met him back in the 90s. I don't even know if he remembers this. At Spring Fling down in Chattanooga when Coffee County was in the softball state tournament. And he's hated me ever since, because back then you could get a newspaper out of the racks. And I made the statement, it's 50 cents a rack full. You know, go get a paper talking about Coffee County softball. It's 50 cents a rack full. And newspaper guys really don't like that. So, well deserved, Maurice, and I'm glad you're in District 8.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
What we're going to do after I go through and do all the announcements, is we're going to call up the coaches, girls first and then boys, alphabetical order. So we'll do Coffee County boys, girls, then Columbia, and so on down the line. What I'm looking for the coaches to do is, first of all, you're going to have to hold this, and there's two other microphones up here. So if you're a walker, grab a hold of the podium. But tell us a little bit about your team, what you saw in the summer, what you've seen in individual workouts, what you've seen in conditioning, who you expect your leaders are, who you expect your best players are, maybe some highlights from your schedule. Hey, we're going to go to Taiwan, whatever it might be. Talk a little bit about anything exciting going on in your with your schedule, and also talk a little bit about what scrimmages you're going to do and when. We're going to scrimmage, Baylor on Monday, or something like that, and we'll then, after you've had a couple minutes to talk about that, we'll take questions. WCDT is broadcasting today, so we've also got a microphone for questions, so don't let that bug you. If you're extroverted enough to ask a question, then please make sure that you're extroverted enough to talk into the microphone. Did I get a ballot for every coaching staff and every media outlet? Is there anyone that's missing a ballot? What we'll do is I'll take those up at the end, and if you don't want to hand it to me, there's a stack in this corner. You can set it in that corner. And like I said, we will tally them up together. I think that there's rosters for everybody, but if not, I was going to propose that this group, that I build a database, and I've already got it pretty much built, with your cell phone numbers and your email addresses. If I'm in your phone, just send me a text. If I'm not in your phone, then come see me and we'll swap cell phone numbers, if that's okay with everybody. If you don't want your cell phone number in a database going out to the people in this room, then we won't do that. And we're going to talk at the end about possibilities of sharing scores. All right, I'm going to start to my right. Amber Gillum, Ladies coach at Franklin County, Ron Hill, radio WZYX in Winchester Cowan. Cody McMurtry, girls coach at Tullahoma. Sam Cowan with the Herald Chronicle in Winchester. Mike Holt, another distinguished service member, boys coach at Franklin County. Of course, Will Rabb is with WCDT in the back, and Ricky Tips with WCDT in the back. Back up front,
Nick Watson,
Nick Watson, assistant coach at Tullahoma. Sorry about that. Jason Welch, new head coach at Tullahoma. Maurice Patton, editor with the Daily Herald, sports editor with the Daily Herald in Columbia. Matt Tyson, the sports editor for the Manchester Times. Zach Birdwell, the only Houston Astros fan in the world, and the sports editor of the Tullahoma News. Rebecca Koger, the athletic director at Coffee County. Matt Vincent, assistant girls coach at Coffee County. Joe Pat Cope, head girls coach at Coffee County. Michael Williams, head boys coach at Coffee County. I'm doing pretty good so far. Brian Porter, head girls coach at Lawrence County. Shane Clark, head girls coach at, I got it backwards, head boys coach at Lawrence County. Brian is head girls coach. Stanley Wilson with X Sports, the X in Lawrence County Radio. Chad Tips, girls coach at Lincoln County High School. Mark Cornelius' son, right?
No, just Cornelius.
Cornelius, he's the new boys coach at Lincoln County. Every time I look at you, I want to say the other purple, Nick Campbell. He is the boys coach at Columbia. Got it right. Josh Bugg, girls coach at Columbia. J.P. Plant, he is with the Lawrence County School Systems. And Paul Henry in the back with the Valley Times and PMH Sports here in Fayetteville. I think I got everybody. Did I miss anybody? Did I mess anybody's name up? Awesome stuff. All right, we'll get underway. Girls coach from Coffee County, Joseph Patrick Cope.
Thank you, Weave. I'd like to thank Thunder Radio for everything they did putting this together. Thank you, Weave. 2019 Coffee County Lady Raiders, it's kind of going to be an unknown. You know, we lost senior Abby Morgan last year, lost senior J.C. Vaughn. That was about 60% of our offense. So going to this summer, we had some freshmen playing, kind of didn't know what to expect out of them. We only had our full team together about 2 games this summer. Bella Vinson, of course, most people know Bella. She got hurt in April in AAU. We're hoping today, we got our fingers crossed that she gets cleared. She's back shooting and going through drills. Her movements are pretty good, but like I said, this summer, I think 2 games all summer between Middle and Tech and Fayetteville and our place, we only had a full team. That gave a lot of freshmen time. We played about 12 deep this summer. Some players that we got back, we got Ellie Graham back. She was all district last year, a real good defender. Jenna Garrettson's back, and Bella, that's the 3 starters we returned. Kai Farrell came off the bench last year, the kind of big tall blonde for us, played quite a few minutes. Some freshmen that are going to make an impact this year. We got a transfer in from Grundy County, Jaylee Ruling. Her mom was head coach up there last year. She's going to be our starting point guard right off the bat. So, you know, you kind of don't know what to expect from a freshman running that position. We've been fortunate enough to have Abby Morgan, and we're replacing that, you know, with a freshman. So we'll see. I guess that's about all we have, Weave. Is there anything else you want us to talk about specifically?
Talk about your tournaments. What tournaments you're going to go to?
Schedule-wise, we're going to Riverdale's State Farm Classic right after Christmas. Me and Coach Tips got together, and I know Fayetteville used to have that Night of Champions. We're trying to bring that back. We're hosting that this year. Lincoln County's going to play Stewart's Creek at our place, and we're playing Riverdale that night. Schedule-wise this year, we added White County. I know that was a big rivalry back in the early 90s, so we picked that back up, a home and home with White County, and we added a home and home with Baylor. They got a kid who Stanford, Notre Dame, South Carolina's offered, so we figured that would be a good pickup for us and kind of challenging ourselves a little more schedule-wise. scrimmages coming up. We're going to Summit the 16th, November 16th, and then we have Marshall County coming to us November 7th for a scrimmage at the Patch.
Anybody got questions for him?
I do, Coach.
Hold on a second. Let's get Maurice right here.
Okay.
What's Bella's recruitment looking like right now?
Bella has been offered by Lipscomb, Mary State. Her father's my assistant coach back here. Coach Vincent, am I missing anybody else, or are those the two right now? Samford, did Samford offer?
Not yet, but
Okay.
she's got a lot of, looks right now. But
Yeah. Tennessee Tech's been at our gym a bunch lately, and I think they're wanting to kind of wait and maybe offer something on a game night's the way they talked. But Lipscomb and Murray State have been two official offers.
Coach, what are y'all feeding those girls down there? What kind of water? 'Cause I'm looking at your height from last year and again this year. You're still tall.
Yeah, we got this is the first time I've ever had 4 kids over 6 foot. We got Bella, Chloe Gannon, her mom Anita Overcast played at Shebel on those state championship teams with Tiffany Woosley. She's about 6'3", and it's just the first time we've had Kyle Farrell's over 6 foot, so it's the first time we've ever had that. So I don't know how to act. Our post has usually been about 5'8" or 5'9" the last couple of years. So we'll be a different type of team this year.
Coach Cope, obviously Bella had surgery over this summer. Can you speak to how her recovery's gone? Is she projected to be ready to go by the start of the season, or is it like a timetable for her? How's that going?
Oh yeah, she's looked really strong the last couple of weeks. Live in the same neighborhood as the Vincents, and she's been out running up and down the street, and her drills, her movement, it's still a little sore, still a little pain there, but her shooting's, man, it's just crazy the way the kid shoots the ball. Every time she releases it, I think it's got a chance to go in, and she works so hard. I came up to the gym last Sunday morning about 8:30. I forgot something. She's in the gym working. I come up there 2 Saturday mornings ago. She's working for 2 hours. I mean, that kid works tirelessly in the gym, and I think that's why she's at the level she's at. Her work ethic.
You got a headphone. You can.
Yeah. Hey, Coach, I'm just wondering, I don't want to call it pressure, more expectations for your team, back-to-back district championships in the regular season. I went to the region semifinals a couple years ago, but you mentioned having a young squad. How do you prepare the kids to not so much deal with the pressure, but the expectation that the community has to continue the success?
It's just something you got to talk to them about, and try to keep them level-headed. And we've had such huge crowds and backing by our community, and the kids kind of feed off that. This bunch, they're so close-knit. If they're not in the gym or they're not at practice together, they're at Bella's house, or last year they were at Abby Morgan or Ellie Graham's house. They've all played since they were little. We've got, I think this year we had 9 kids playing AAU, so they're used to it. They look for that big crowd. They'll be peeking out of the locker room seeing the Tullahoma game last year was, it was an unbelievable atmosphere. I bet we had 2,500 people in the gym, and we had them down the hallways. You couldn't find an open spot in the gym, and that's what makes high school basketball fun.
And following up on that, talk about the great rivalries and how fun it is to compete in this district, because it is usually pretty competitive from top to bottom, and people come out, people are excited to see the games played.
Oh, it is. You've had, I know last year, Tullahoma and Lincoln County, we had some wars. The community you talk Tullahoma, Coffee County, that's Oklahoma, Nebraska, it's Alabama, Auburn. That's how your whole year goes is if you win that game, you lose that game, you're going to hear it at the coffee shop that morning. You're going to hear it at the meet and 3 at lunch. And it's just your kind of school year goes on those rivalry games. And it's exciting, the tradition AAA has, to be a part of that.
Anybody else? Awesome. Thank you, Coach. Next, the boys coach for Coffee County, Michael Williams.
Thank you, Weave, and thank everybody who set this up. I think it's a great thing and a great opportunity for myself and other coaches in this district to kind of get to know each other and get to know the teams in their district and who they're competing against. And first thing I wanted to start with is, with our team this year, kind of like Coach Cope mentioned, we had a lot of going into the summer, had a lot of question marks. I thought after losing some of the guys we lost last year to graduation, guys like Harley Henshaw, who was probably one of our better defenders, just kind of a glue guy, and losing the district MVP and Darius Rozier, who's at Columbia State right now. Going into it and just losing those guys, trying to find who's going to step up and who's going to fill those shoes, fill those minutes. And fortunately for us, I played a lot of sophomores last year. We were young, kind of inexperienced last year, so hopefully that this year those sophomores that played will be a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more confident, and that's kind of what I saw this summer throughout camp. And one thing I'm really excited about this year's team is our depth. I think we got an opportunity to play 9, 10 guys, and with the way I want to play, that's going to be beneficial for us. Talking a little bit about some of the guys that we got coming back. Kyle Farless, who's a junior this year, was an all-district player last year. We got a transfer in, Jalen Wooten, who's a Manchester guy. Just moved back to the area, and really excited to have him. But like I said, we played several sophomores last year. Jackson Vaughn, C.J. Anthony, some guys that they're looking to take the next step and contributed to our team this year, and I'm just really excited for those guys. With some of the things we got going on prior to the season start, we'll be playing at Riverdale on a play day November 9th. I got 3 really good teams to go up against, to kind of see where we are early on and things that we may need to work on and fix before the season opens up. And really excited about getting these guys back on the floor. As far as our regular season schedule goes, we'll be hosting our tournament around Christmas, December 19th through the 21st. We'll be going to Canyon County for Thanksgiving. And one game that we've added this year that we hadn't played in a while, which when I played at Coffee County, we usually had them on the schedule, and it was always a tough game, and that's White County. We'll be playing at home and away White County, and another good test. We play them, I think, the 4th game of the year, so it's going to be a good test and a good challenge for us early on. And that's, if you guys have any questions.
Coach Williams, could you, go into some detail on the impact you think a guy like Jalen Wooten transferring in for his senior year can make on the team this year?
I think he's going to make a huge contribution just with his willingness to pass the ball, and he's got a natural knack for getting to the basket and creating not just for himself but for others. Being about 6'6", being a 6'6" guard, and that's special in itself. But being able to shoot the ball, play off the bounce, guys are really then pick up. Guys are really getting a feel for him. It can be tough sometimes when you got a new guy in the mix that hadn't been around. But when these guys are playing, pick up and still trying to get comfortable with him. But I think, like I said, with his willingness to pass the ball and his ability to play off the ball is going to be huge for us, especially after losing a guy like Darius last year.
Coach, you're talking about being able to go 9-10 deep this year and playing the style of basketball that you're wanting to. What are you going to change up from last year's games?
Last year we were a little bit bigger as far as bulk, having Rozier and Harley Henshaw, and being able to put the ball in the post. And this year looking to kind of speed it up some. We've got some length, a little bit more athleticism. So I want to use that to our advantage. Just play a little bit more up tempo. We did that times last year, but didn't feel like that was really our strength. But this year it's going to be a little bit different with the personnel that we have.
Anybody else? Thank you, Coach. Okay, Columbia. Josh Bug.
And again, we are live, special edition of Off the Bench. This is the District 8 AAA Basketball Media Day.
I'm excited for this year. I feel like we have a brand new group of players. Only thing I really want to say is that I'm thankful to be here, thankful to be a coach in this district, and really excited to see these girls play this year. I'll open it up for any questions y'all may have.
Hey, Coach, just talk about a little bit more detail, that new group of players. I know it's been a rough couple of years for the Columbia program, and some girls who you think are going to help y'all get going back in the right direction.
I've got 2 sophomores that'll play kind of wing guard, point guard, whatever you want to call it. Josie Parks should be wearing number 32, and Janiah Riley, both of those kids played EYBL circuit this summer, had a lot of game experience through the summer. Really look for them to be 2 of our better players and 2 of our better leaders on the floor.
Talk a little bit about your schedule as well, games that you have that folks can look forward to.
We've tried to get more Williamson County schools on the schedule, as well as more Rutherford County schools. This year we were able to add Franklin home and away. They've got a big post player and a really good guard player. We played them at our camp this summer. We'll be playing Wilson Central again this year at our Classic. Those are just a few teams to name.
Your team showed a lot of improvement last year, especially late in the season, just continued on. Do you feel like they've carried that momentum into this year?
It's hard to say. This is the best summer that we've had. We got to play as many games in a lot of different camps that I wasn't able to do my first 2 summers. We were able to win some games, and we were competitive in every game except for White County. They're pretty good, so good luck with that, Coach. You know, you just don't know because it's really a whole brand new team. So like I said from the beginning, I'm just excited to see them play.
Coach, this is your 3rd year at Central, your 3rd year as a head coach. What do you feel like you as a coach and you all as a program have accomplished over those first 2 years that you can take into year 3?
Coming into it, I knew it was going to be an extremely difficult challenge. My first year and a half, I really was just focused on changing the culture and kind of establishing a brand. I felt like I've done that. And as a coach, I've really tried to get ingrained in the community and start to build relationships with the middle school feeder programs. And so one thing that I think is an advantage is that I've kind of taken the long approach. I didn't really expect to come in and win every single game. I just knew that I had to be patient and build relationships and get the kids in, because ultimately we can't score the points for them. You know, we didn't create them. We're just blessed to be here as their coaches. And I think eventually we'll be successful again. Hopefully it'll be this year.
And what do you, from a personnel standpoint, from year 1, who do you have with you who's been through the wars with you these past 2 years?
My first year, I had 2 seniors. Last year I had 1 senior. I have 1 junior, so that would be the kid that you're talking about. Janice Bailey, she was my only freshman my first year, so it's really been a very, I wouldn't say empty, but it's not been a full class each year to work with. So this will be the first year where I have kind of a group of sophomores and freshmen that'll kind of build off of, you know, last year's good things.
Besides Janice and the 2 sophomores you talked about, anybody else coming back from last year to look
Micaiah Edwards, she's about a 5'11", very good athlete. She hasn't played for me yet, but she's been around the community. She played as a freshman, I think. She did pretty good as a freshman. I don't know her stats. Zaria Hall will be back as well. She's got a brother that played, I think, at Northern Alabama. Very good athlete. I got a kid that transferred, her mom, and then moved back to Columbia. Her name is Emma Hughes. She's from Hume Fogg. I've got a kid that came up from Culleoka. Her name is Riley Ham. Her brother's a pitcher, going to go to MTSU. Very good family, great kid. So we literally have about 6 or 7 new players. It's a totally different team, minus Janice Bailey and Karma Hunt were our 2 leading scorers last year.
Good job. Thanks, Coach. Columbia boys coach is Nick Campbell.
And again, you were listening live coverage of the District 8 AAA Basketball Media Day.
Yeah, that's good. I've been going worse.
Thanks, guys, once again for putting this event on. I think it's very good that we can come out here and talk about our players and talk about our district and get our district a little bit more exposure. But just jump right into it. We've got 5 guys returning that played a lot last year. We also have a lot of kids that are coming up that are going to be sophomores that are going to contribute some this year. We've got Keyshawn Frierson, who was a district tournament MVP. Devin Reynolds was also an all-district player. Eli McCoy is back after a season-ending injury last year. Cameron Johnson will be a junior. We also have a players. Actually, we got 2 new post players. Quavius Mitchell, he's about 6'4", and then Carter Sidlowski is playing this year, who is about 6'3", 275, 280. So that'll help us out a lot this year. We really haven't seen our team together, so we don't really know how we're going to do because, you know, kids are going 100 different ways during the summer. So we had team pictures last Wednesday, and that's actually the first time that we have seen our entire team together since the district region tournament last year. A little bit about our schedule. We're playing a lot more Williamson County schools and Rutherford County schools. That's just going to benefit us, I believe. We also had a Pre-Beach Flash is hiring an assistant coach this year. Former University of Tennessee star Tyler Smith is now on our coaching staff. He has helped out a ton as far as player development and scheme-wise. So that'll be a big asset to our program. We're going to be fairly young, even though we do have 5 players coming back. We're going to play a lot of sophomores and a lot of guys who really don't have any game experience. So, any questions?
Coach, your squad always seems to be one of the more athletic units in the district. How does that help you be able to craft a game plan and play a style of basketball that's going to be highly successful?
Yeah, we are very athletic. This year we're actually a little bit bigger than we were last year. We were pretty small last year. Kids have just gotten older, taller, quicker. So you're going to see the same way that we played last year, get up and down the court, trap, shoot threes. We'll probably shoot more threes than we did last year. So we're just going to play fast, try to trap, get out in transition.
And you talk about the schedule, getting more Williamson County, Rutherford County teams on the schedule. That's obviously a combination, I would think, of trying to some attractive matchups to get people to the gym, but also getting you ready to be able to be prepared for that next level when you get to the region tournament.
Yes, absolutely. I think you'll know more about this than I do, but Franklin and Columbia are very good, big rivals. They've been playing for a long time before I got there. They stopped playing for a few years, but yeah, it's just something that we want to try to do is try to, beef up our non-district schedule. That way we're playing better athletes in the non-district to kind of expose us to that.
You kind of stole my thunder there, actually.
My
I was
fault.
just getting ready to ask you about the significance of getting Franklin back on the schedule.
I think it's a very good game. I mean, we're 45 minutes apart, probably less than that, 30. They went to the state tournament last year.
Depends on how you drive.
For me, probably about 45.
For me, probably 30.
Yeah. So it's a big rivalry. They went to the state tournament last year. They got a good team coming back, so it'll be a good test for us. Right, first game of the year.
The success that you guys had last year in your first season as head coach, what kind of confidence does that give you and this team coming into this season?
A lot. We're going to replace 3 seniors, one that really did basically everything for us last year, in Dontavius Brown, who's now at Bethel playing. But we're going to play the same way. And I think the way that we play, me giving a little bit of freedom on offense gives them a lot of confidence. I don't really get mad if somebody takes a transition 3, right, Micah? I don't get mad at that. So the way we play gives kids confidence and knowing that, hey, if I do turn the ball over, he's not going to yell at me. He's going to let me play. So I think that gives kids a lot of confidence.
Who is this year's Dontavius Brown?
When I find him, I'll let you know. I wish he could come back. But I look for 3 or 4 guys that have a big year. Q Martin has gotten a lot better. He's gotten stronger. He's probably about 6'1", so he's grown a little bit since last year. I'll tell you, number 24, DeQuavius Mitchell, we didn't have him last year, and I look for him to have a big year as well.
Getting Eli back, the first half of the season before he got hurt, he looked like he really brought some versatility to you guys. Is that what you expect out of him?
Yes, he can do a lot of things that we don't have anybody else that can do. He can shoot the ball really well. He's left-handed. He's about 6'5". He can defend. He can rebound. It gives us a little bit more depth. that we didn't have last year. So he'll be a great addition. We're looking forward to having him back.
Oh, I've got one for you. You replaced the legend at Columbia, but it looked like your kids bought in right away. Talk about what helped you there, get that buy-in from the kids.
Well, I just came in, wanted to build relationships with the kids, and the style that we play is pretty, everybody sees it on TV. Push a pace, trap, shoot threes, go get it. If you can dunk it, go dunk it. If you miss a dunk, I don't get mad. So I think it's very player friendly. I think that's why there was a lot of buy-in early. We just got better and better as the year went. A lot of that too was we didn't have a whole lot of game experience last year. So they started having some success, and hey, this kind of works. So they just bought in. We did have a very good year last year.
Maybe if I'd have done that stuff, I'd have been a good basketball player.
No excuse for me. I was terrible, right, Claude?
Amber Gillum, girls coach at Franklin County.
Thanks for having us all out. This is a pretty great opportunity, especially just getting started out. I really don't have a whole lot to say about what to go on from last year. I was really honest with the girls when I took over the program in the late spring. I watched them play 3 games last year. That was it. I haven't seen them play much else. We went to 2 camps this summer, so I did get to see them perform a little bit there. We spent a lot of time doing rotations. The way that I'm used to coaching, the way I really like to coach, is to send a bunch in and bring a bunch out. Send a bunch in, bring a bunch out. I know I have a great fan of that in the back of the ring. And the girls really didn't know what to do with that when we were at camp this summer. So we spent a lot of time working on different rotations, seeing who worked together, who didn't work together. I just wanted to get an idea of what they could do. I didn't want anybody to have a mold cut out for them when I got started. I wanted them to show me what they were capable of. So we don't look at wins and losses at camp. Those games don't count for anything anyway. I just wanted to see who could do what. I have really enjoyed getting to know these girls. I had heard a lot of rumors about it before I got started, but we had to put all of that behind us so that I could learn who they were for myself. I know they're going to play differently for me than they do for anybody else. So they've been a lot of fun to get to know. And the biggest thing that they have grown with over the summer is being able to play together. That has been a huge turnaround for them. When we first started out in the summer and we got through tryouts, I was a little bit concerned about how they were going to do together. I love going to the gym with them every day now. It's fantastic. When we first got started, it was kind of scary. It's a lot more fun to be around them now. They enjoy one another. They spend a lot of time together. They're taking care of each other, so that makes a big difference for us. We've gotten into a new conditioning program that they've never had to do before. We did this when I was at the university. I got this program started up there, so they've gotten started into a conditioning and weightlifting program that they've never had to do before. And that's changed some of them a little bit. They didn't know how to handle that at first, but I think we're a solid month into it now, so they're kind of getting the hang of things now. We are going to play in Cannon County in the Thanksgiving tournament. We actually have 2 scrimmages lined up. Everybody wanted to see the Franklin County Huntland matchup come back, and that's not happening. But we will be scrimmaging them, and it will be closed, so nobody can see that happen either. But Coach Edmondson was actually my first assistant coach hire. He came from Cascade, and I yanked him up as quick as I could, and then he was gone just as fast as I got him. Now he's at Huntland as their head coach for the girls team, and we had a great relationship starting out, so we've just continued it, and he and I have decided that we'll do a close scrimmage together on November 9th, so our teams can work together. We actually went to the same camps this summer by accident, which was a lot of fun. And then we'll be scrimmaging Fayetteville City High School on November 14th. Holly Hoagland now was Holly Quarter, and we actually played against each other when we were younger, so that's going to be a neat thing to get to catch up with her a little bit and see our teams match up and do some controlled scrimmage while we're there.
Talk a little bit about your background. Where did you coach? Where did you play before Franklin County?
Oh, well, so I am a Franklin County native. I grew up there, played elementary basketball, middle school, played at South Junior High, and then I played at Franklin County High School. under Brian Glazner and Lisa Crabtree. Lisa Crabtree's first year at Franklin County was my senior year of high school. I went to Judson College. That's the first time most of you have ever heard that name. It's a little bitty all-girls college in Alabama. Loved it. I actually played basketball and softball there all 4 years and was a captain of both teams. Wound up staying there for a year and coaching both teams right after I graduated. Left there and went to Sewanee, the University of the South, and I was there for 10 years. I was the head softball coach for 6 years and the assistant women's basketball coach for 10. I coached under Dickie McCarthy and Tom Campbell up there. So I've recruited a lot of the players from District 8. I've recruited a lot of these kids. Didn't get many of them as much as I wanted, but we did recruit several kids. So I've gotten to watch most of the teams play. I'm finally getting to be on this side of it, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Coach Gilman, talk a little bit about you being from Franklin County and playing as a Rebel and now taking over as head coach. What is the biggest challenge that you see in developing your style of play with your young kids?
I love this question. So when I was coming up through Rebelette basketball, I was coming up through our county, AAU was huge for us. That was a really big deal. Community involvement and building relationships like Coach was talking about with your elementary schools and your middle schools, and making sure that people understand my investment for those kids and how we want to build this program from the ground up. I love the kids that we have right now, and I'm going to work my butt off for them. But we also have to worry about the ones that are starting out, and we've got to build them up too. So that's been our biggest challenge, is making sure that we go back and build those relationships with our elementary coaches and our middle school coaches. We've already started that because about a month or so ago we had an organizational meeting with our elementary coaches. I've invited them in so that we could get everybody on the same page, and come to find out they had a bunch of common concerns and questions. They just had never had a forum where they could get together and talk about it. So it was a really good opportunity, and we hosted a fundraiser tournament for all of our elementary teams that turned out really well for us, and got a lot of really good feedback out of it. So getting those relationships built with elementary and middle school and getting AAU started back up, those are going to be really big for us.
With the time you've gotten to work with the players, who's really stood out for you? Who are you really expecting to get big things out of this year?
Well, I think everybody in the room knows Ashton Holman, so that's no secret. She's probably one of the top 2 female athletes in our whole school. I expect big things out of Ashton. I've seen some great growth, great maturity out of her just over the summer. I expect big things out of her. Marissa Douglas, I'm not sure how many people know her name because I know that she hasn't gotten to play very much. We have found some ways that we plan to incorporate her. We got to play with some things while we were at camp this summer, so I don't think that kid has really met her potential yet, and I'm not sure that she knows it. She doesn't really have a ceiling. She has asthma that kind of holds her back, but we're learning some ways that we can work around that. So the 2 returning seniors I expect big things out of. Rylan Walkanowski is one underclassman we have that I'm pumped about this kid. I love her. She just comes to the gym and she puts in work. She never says anything to anybody unless she has to. She's the kind of leader that you wish you had because she just wants to do what the coach wants her to. She doesn't work outside of herself, and she pushes herself to be the best she can. She's probably my best leader for the team by example. And Ashton and Marissa are certainly my best athletic examples.
Can we gotta ask you a question about Macy? I've been seeing some of the kids at some of the football games and stuff. They're real excited about basketball season. Only thing that Macy's trying to figure out is how to grow a little bit. She's still kind of small. What do you see in terms of growth and development of your team?
So what I anticipate for our team, I mean, one good look at us says that we don't have a lot of height to work with. We have run and run and run this summer. We've run a lot, and I'm definitely a player's coach. I want to see my kids shoot. I want to see them run. I want to see them play without looking at the bench and worrying about whether they're going to come out for a mistake. So my kids have done a lot of running, a lot of fast break. I like to see the 3 off the break. I want to see them shoot a layup or a 3. I don't care which one it is. Take the open shot. Somebody's going to rebound. We do a lot of running, and I warn the post players that they better keep up with the conditioning program because we just don't have a lot of depth at the post position to slow it down for them. So we're gonna be running.
I'm curious, your experience, it's a different sport, but you were the head softball coach on the college level. I'm wondering how that experience that you have simply being a head coach in a sport translates and helps you now in this position.
I think that the main thing that translates just from one sport to another, I don't think it really matters. Being a head coach is about understanding the dynamics of the relationship between player and coach and watching your players work together. I don't think it really matters so much what the skills are because, I mean, you obviously got to know the skills, but just the head coach mentality is knowing how to fit your pieces together. I told the girls from the very beginning, their responsibility is to give 100% effort in what they can really do and work on their own. My responsibility is to put the pieces together to put them in the best opportunity to be successful.
You've had some really good coaches ahead of you that you've worked underneath. The last one, Tom, excellent job. What did you pick up from him and that you're going to try to implement at this level? He had an outstanding coaching career in college. What are you planning on implementing that he does or did at Franklin County?
The number one thing that, I learned countless things from Tom Campbell. This man is a basketball genius, and I think it's not fair that everybody doesn't really get to spend some time under him. But I learned a lot about that relationship building because that was the thing that he emphasized the most. Relationship building was first. The sport has to come second. If you don't have a relationship with them, they're not going to buy in anyway, so it really doesn't matter what they're capable of. And on top of that, it went to individual player development because when they come together as a team, if they don't know what their strengths are, then what can they do for you? So if I can build a relationship with them, let them know that they can trust me and I'm going to be consistent, that's my first win. Second is working on player development, and we've got to continue that. These girls, half of them want to play just high school ball and half of them want to continue. It's my responsibility to get them ready for the next level, whatever that may be for them.
You mentioned a couple of scrimmages and a tournament you're participating in, but top to bottom, it's a tough schedule. So how do you think that's going to help your team get ready for the battle in the district?
I think that District 8 basketball has always been tough. I don't remember there being a year that there wasn't somebody in our district that was a really hard opponent. I've tried to take the schedule in stride. I know that we're not coming into this guns blazing and about to take down everybody in the district. I think this is a work in progress. I see this being a long-term kind of thing. What I enjoy about the opportunity to participate in District 8 is that I know there's always going to be competition out there, and that's what makes all of us great, is that we're here for the kids and we're here to be the best version of us. So I'm looking forward to playing hard teams. That's what's going to make us better. As long as I'm not tearing my kids down after losses and we're learning from our losses, let's continue to play those tough opponents.
How do you keep the morale of the team up too? Because they're excited. They feel like they've gotten better. There's expectations for them, fair or otherwise. How do you keep them level-headed through that tough schedule?
We continue to talk about what we're learning, and we set benchmarks for ourselves. So a lot of it has to come from reflection on where you have been versus where you are now and seeing where you're going. As long as I stay on track for that and I'm reminding them of that, I feel like that's what will keep our morale up. Losses are tough, but as long as you are closing that gap every time, you're making progress. That's what they have to understand.
Coach, given your background, this is your first high school coaching position after obviously a lengthy career at the collegiate level. Why?
That's a great question. I see several people who kind of feel like they might know the answer to this question. I'll be completely honest with you. I was a rebelette, and I was not good. I was not the best one on the court, but nobody was going to work harder than I was. And being a rebelette was a tradition. It stood for something, and it meant something to me, and has always stuck with me. I'm the oldest of 4 siblings, 3 girls who all played in rebelette basketball. And that was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. And I'm a mom. I mean, that's scary business. So being able to come back to my hometown, that was always my end goal. And I've been saying that since I was in high school. There are people here who can vouch for that. My end goal was to come back and coach Rebel basketball. Never in a million years did I dream that I would do it now. I thought, you know, later, I'll stay at the college level for a while and I'll come back later. I wound up getting out of Swanee. It just wasn't the fit for me whenever I left. It was time for me to go. I had overstayed my welcome. Then I became an elementary school counselor, and I took a year off from coaching, and I got into elementary basketball coaching. So there were actually a lot of people out in the community talking about, oh, the only experience she has is she's been an elementary head coach for a year. So that was a lot of fun to dispel that myth whenever it started floating around. It's actually, this is a challenge for me because I got really comfortable at the college level. So coming back down to this, I don't care what people say, it's just as difficult to be a high school coach as it is to be a college coach. And I coached at Division III, so we wore a lot of hats. So there were a lot of responsibilities in that position, but then you come to be a head coach at the high school level, those just multiplied by 1,000. So it's a challenge all over again, and I like that. I want to work. I don't want to sit and twiddle my thumbs. I want to be busy. I enjoy it. And getting to be a part of this tradition again and try to bring it back on an upswing, that's huge for me. It's something that I thought I wouldn't get to do for a long time now, and it's been a blessing to get to jump right back into it. And our community support has been surprisingly wonderful considering that I wasn't one of the star players. I'm really enjoying getting to be back in this position and to be with my family in a community that I've grown up with, and it's just a wonderful opportunity.
Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Next up,
And again, you're listening to
next up is going to be Mike
WCBT.
Holt, Franklin County. He is the midway point of coaches. After him, do you want to take a short break? I've seen a lot of coffee cups, so I know that means a break soon. Mike?
Hey, thanks. I appreciate this opportunity to do this, but girls coaches, I'd watch out because Joe, Pat, and Chad wanted this, so they must be pretty good this year. You know, you got to be careful with those guys. Anyway, I am the new old coach. I've been around a long time in this area. I actually even coached at Lincoln County for a while, coached at Motlow. So I look around at it every year. It gets scarier because there's more coaches that I saw play than what. And it's good to see Nick here. I'm glad you got the right color on today, you know. So that's good to see too. As far as our players, I went down through this roster here just a few minutes ago, and it's crazy because we got like 7 kids that at one time started last year. So I don't know what that means. I think that we've got some young kids that are a year older, so we're excited about that. We'll see how that does. We've got a lot of kids that have good potential, but I try to remind them every day that potential means you haven't done anything yet. So I'm looking forward to working with them. We've had a good conditioning, and they've been in the gym quite a bit. I don't know what they do because I'm not there, but they have been in there pretty well. So I'm excited about them. And also, not to wish anything bad on football, but we do have 10 kids that are still playing football. So it's really hard to tell what you really have until you get that bunch in the gym with you. As far as the schedule goes, you know, we got the schedule late, and Isaiah had not quite finished it, and he had tried to get different teams. And so when I got the schedule, there wasn't many games, or we still had quite a few games to get, and so it's kind of, you just go out there and look, see who's got a game, and you don't think about how good they are or how bad they are. You got to have a game. So that's how we ended up with a few of these. But you know, my dad was a coach, and he always told me that when the athletic director and the superintendent took over scheduling, you might be done. Well, they're, just so everybody knows, they're the ones that scheduled Webb. I did not do that, okay? Just so everybody knows. Yeah, so, you know, that's always a good deal for you. You know, everybody's looking back there thinking, I told Amber, I said, good, you got the schedule next week, but you better watch out for the athletic director and superintendent because they throw games. They didn't even tell us that it was on the schedule, but it's there. Another team we're going to go play is Stone Memorial, which obviously their girls program has been good. Also, their boys program very well. So we're hoping that will work out. And you know, I don't know what Valor Collegiate Academy. It just sounds like they're good. So you know, I don't know what they're going to be, but you know, any team that's named that's got to be good. As far as we're going to go to the Thanksgiving tournament at Cannon County, I hope it's still on. I hadn't heard anything from anybody, so we're going to be there to get us going. And then again, we couldn't find a Christmas tournament, and then all of a sudden, Marshall County puts on gets out of where they needed some teams. So I thought, well, what the heck? That's not that far. It's just above Clarksville. And I called the coach and talked to him, and he's, yeah, coach, you know, we're not very good. We'll be young. I said, well, yeah, that's kind of like us. And I talked to him for a little bit, and then told him we'd do it, and then hung up the phone and looked him up, and supposedly they got a junior guard that's number 4 in the country. So, you know, there you go, bub. Another great scheduling deal for you. So, you know, that's how it goes sometimes. But anyway. So I guess we'll, I talked to him the second time. I said, I guess we'll be your sacrificial lamb, but because we're going up there. And you know, when you schedule a tournament and the opening night you're playing the opening team, you know you're in trouble for the rest of the tournament. So we haven't seen that schedule yet, but I'm really excited because it gives the kids another opportunity to go see some different teams and different places and how that goes. So. That's pretty much, other than our 8 AAA schedule, which is always difficult. You know, I just got to know Lawrenceburg. What is it going to be? Dr. Seuss Day or Hawaiian Day or what is it? Beach Day? Is that what it is? Okay. Every time we go up there, it's some kind of day, and you know, I mean, you know. You usually get up there and it's some kind of day, and oh boy, it is some kind of day. And then they bring in these officials you've never seen before, you know. So that's just how it goes when you go to Lawrenceburg. That's a tough go right there. See, I have been around there, Shane, a little bit. Yeah, and of course, you know, I listened to Micah talk, and we can't beat them, and you know, then Columbia gets up here and it gets worse. So, you know, I hope there's somebody out there we can beat, but I will tell you this, we will play hard and we'll get after it, and I am excited, and we do have some young kids that are going to help us. Probably the best thing that I think we have going for us right now is that not only is our top 7 pretty decent or has playing experience, but our bottom 7 is pretty good too. They're freshmen, they're young, but they're going to, most people don't understand this, but you play yourself more than you play teams. And every night in practice, I think it's going to be very competitive. The freshman group that has come in is probably one of the best freshman groups as far as boys go in Franklin County in a long time. So football-wise, basketball-wise, we're pretty excited about that group. So I think it's going to be a good year. It's always a fun year. You know, those long bus trip rides home, I fixed that. I got the best seat in the house. I drive the bus now. So that's actually the best seat in the house. So anyway, that's it. Anybody got any questions? Yeah.
Coach, you talk about that schedule, and it's maybe kind of an off the radar game, but I think it's starting to make a fun robbery since we played them in football this year too. Got Grundy County twice, and it's a challenging game as well because they put a good squad out there.
Yeah, he really does. Grundy County is one of those teams that just plays hard, and they always got some guy that doesn't look like he's a basketball player, and he hits threes all night. But the connection also there is the head coach there, Kevin Butler, played for me when I was at Grundy, and he coaches just like he played. He was probably one of the better players there. Played extremely hard. We've stayed in contact and talked back and forth about a lot of things, and so. Yeah, I'm excited about that. It's and it is a local game that we do get a crowd most of the time, so I'm happy for it.
Hey, Coach, you were talking about the underclassmen. You got 9 sophomores and freshmen coming in this year's team. Tell us a little about them, and what do you expect out of these kids this year?
Well, again, I think they're going to be very, very good for us, and that's just our top 15. There's 5 more or 6 more that are that are on the varsity that are freshmen. I guess we won the recruiting battle with the Holmans. Everybody was talking about them and where they were going to go, and we must have won it. I didn't do anything, but we must have won it. I don't know. The best way to do that is to hire his dad as your assistant. That really works usually pretty well. So, but anyway, we've got a set of twins that they're very athletic. They're very, very good kids, well coached kids coming up from the south, and they're going to be fun to be around. We've got some other kids, like the Rigsby kid he just needs to get a little stronger, but he's a good shooter. And some of the sophomores, some of those kids, Jamal Blackwell played for us last year, started for us a few games. So he's another kid that's going to be good. And of course, if we can get LT, Taylor, and Justin keep from getting hurt, which kind of stalled some of their development last year, but if we keep those guys out going, that's going to be very good for us, especially in practice.
Coach, talk a little bit about, if you would, about your relationship with the kids, because it's not as difficult when you have already coached them, even though as an assistant, and coming on now as a head coach. Talk a little bit about how that transition has been for you, and because it has to be a whole lot easier than coming in with cold feet, not knowing the kids.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah, it was. There's not a lot of different things we're going to do. I mean, obviously there are some things defensively that we might do different, but if you've played one of my teams, you're going to see the swing offense that Coach Ryan pretty much did, and I had an opportunity to work for him, and I think it's one of the better offenses that you can put out there, and I've been running it for 20 years, so you don't have to watch any film. Shane, you don't have to watch any film. You know what's going to happen. Okay. So anyway, or anybody else, Chad, anybody else. You don't have to walk with girls. But, Nick back there, I see him smiling. Jason, I know Nick's going to do all your film, right? You're not going to watch any film now. Okay. But anyway, yeah, we that transition was pretty easy, and especially being an assistant, because there was a lot of things those kids would come and talk to me about that they wouldn't go to Isaiah with, and that's the way it's supposed to be. And so, I got to know some things about them, and the other thing is when they get in trouble, they come to me, so I know that. I don't have to worry about that anymore. That's a good thing. But it's really a good bunch of kids. I saw the report cards, and man, they were better students than I ever was. So, I couldn't hardly make a C, but they did really well with their grades and stuff, and so. Yeah, it was a good, easy transition for us. I think the kids are excited about the transition. I don't know, the way they seem and everything, so.
Can we put some weight on Perkins?
No, it ain't gonna happen.
I've been trying to feed him.
Well, he eats,
It
but
works for me.
you know what, you just go, yeah, well, for us, yeah, but Malachi's has been one of those kids that's tall, skinny kid. He's a kid that's 6'6", and he really had a great summer. For us this year, if we can just keep him out of foul trouble, I think he's going to be a big effect. Last year, he got his feet wet playing behind one of our other post players, but the kid is just being, he sees me every day, talks to me about things, and so I'm sort of excited about it. But I met his parents, and so no, he's not gonna put on me weight because they're about skinny. Yeah.
Skinny too.
Yeah, they're all skinny, so but anyway, that's usually.
Anybody?
Thank you.
That was the Mike Holt Comedy Hour. We're going to step away for a break, and I know that WCDT is down to do that. It's 10:02. Let's start back at about 10:08. To Lawrence County, Brian Porter, the girls' coach for Lawrence County.
Thank you, Mr. Weaver. Appreciate all the media outlets. Appreciate y'all being here. Appreciate the coverage that you give to our student athletes. This is my 8th year at Lawrence County High School, and just looking around the room, and the one thing that I can say just from the time that I've been in this district, how much more competitive, especially from the girls' side. I'm just basically speaking from the girls' standpoint, but the first year that I started, you know, the upper part of the district was very competitive, but as I look around the room, from the media standpoint, it looks like it's going to be a dogfight every single night. So I think there's going to be a lot of good competitive basketball games. So looking forward to that. The one thing that I can say is all the other coaches, we had no transfers at Lawrence County High School this year, so you don't have to worry about it. I know some of the other schools talked about receiving starting point guards, 6'6" guards, those kinds of things. We might have had some transfers at Lawrence County High School, but they were academic kids. But seriously, if you look at our roster, we have 11 kids listed on our roster. 7 of the 11 are 9th and 10th graders. So we have a very young team. A lot of those sophomores did play some last year. Have 3 returning starters. Chloe Willis, which is a junior, she's had some looks at some colleges. Trevecca has offered her this past summer. Kinsey Atkins is a senior. Chloe Moore is a senior. So those 3 kids have played a lot of basketball. Other than that, we'll be very inexperienced. Coach Tips and I were talking in the hallway. The one thing that excites me about this upcoming year is just the simple fact of how competitive our practices are going to be, because those 11 kids that are on our roster, all of those kids will play every single night. Now, I don't know which kids are going to perform the best, but because, again, we've got a lot of inexperienced kids, but for the most part, our practices are going to be very competitive. And Coach Holt, as you were talking about, this is when you get better, because you play against yourselves more than you do anybody else. So I'm really looking forward to that. We went to a couple of camps this summer. We went to Columbia Central, played Franklin, played Columbia Central there. Coach Bug's team is going to be much, much more competitive. Coach, you've done a great job with them. So, and then we went to Tennessee Tech. Played some really good teams up there. We played a Farragut team up there, which was very good, and wasn't necessarily looking at the scoreboard. Coach, like you were talking about, wasn't about that. Just trying to see how some of our kids would respond when they get out on the floor, because a lot of those kids haven't played. And so it was good for us. The main thing this season coming in, we opened up with Page. Page High School was a very good basketball team last year. They lost a couple of really good seniors last year, but I expect them to be very good. And then we go to Florence High School, which Florence is very close to us. It's about 40 minutes, so it's a very athletic team. So it's going to be a big challenge for us. And as most of you know, our region's very athletic anyway, so I think it helps prepare us if we can get to that point. And the thing from the girls' standpoint, you know, we haven't been as competitive as I would like us to be the last couple of years, but we have great kids. And as coaching, you know, you want to win the scoreboard, but the main thing that you get to do is hopefully make a difference in some of these kids' lives. So I'm really looking forward to this year. I think our kids are excited and just ready to get started. Other than that, I really don't have anything. We do have a couple of scrimmages that we will, preseason scrimmages. We go to Hardin County on Tuesday, November the 12th, and then we're going to go to Summit High School to their play day on November 16th. I know one of the games that we have up there will be Dixon County, and Dixon County has been very competitive the last 4 or 5 years as far as their girls basketball program, so that'll be a good challenge for us. Any questions?
Coach, you mentioned the sophomores, 5 of them, and how much they played last year. What have you seen this summer, and how they can contribute as a group kind of to be veterans this year?
Absolutely, and I think the main thing with those 5 is they all played minutes last year, but they play a lot of summer ball together, and so they're a really close-knit group. And so the main thing I've seen is just confidence. You know, it's hard to come in and play as a freshman. You're just playing against older kids is what I've seen, and these kids just have a lot more confidence because they played last year, they got their feet wet, and some game experience this year, and so their confidence level is much better than it was this time last year.
Coach, we've been looking for a point guard. Who do you see in that role for this season?
Well, we're still looking. We're hoping that transfer portal would open up so we could get somebody to come in and help us in that area. But, you know, the thing with us is that you know, in my 8 years, we've had one point guard really, and that's the honest to goodness truth. That's not coaches speak. We've got good kids that can that are guards, but they're not point guards. And man, it's just hard. It's hard to win when you don't have a point guard, because we all know it's the same thing with football with quarterback. It's hard to win if you got a quarterback that can't throw the ball. And so, but we've got kids that's working to fill that role. I still don't really know for sure who's going to fill that role. We've got a freshman, Katie Criswell, very athletic kid. She's 5'9", 5'10". She's never ran the point before, but now she has the tools to be able to do it. And then we've got some other kids. Lily Hutchins had an ACL injury last year, was really coming along till she tore her ACL. She has the potential to do that, so that's still it's yet to be determined. So that will be one of the biggest areas that we're trying to work on right now.
Well, you got a freshman, Emmy Clark. Do you foresee any problems with her parents?
Well, I'm going to tell you, it's a good thing that she doesn't take after her father. But no, she's come in and did a good job this summer. She did a really good job and really impressed me this summer. Both of those freshmen just coming in, they didn't play like freshmen. Both of those kids have a lot of game experience, but you know, you just wonder when they get into the high school atmosphere, sometimes they revert back and it takes them a while to get that confidence. But now both of those kids are not lacking with confidence. So looking forward to what those kids will do for us.
Talking about your leadership, you've got, of course, a young team and your upperclassmen, maybe soft-spoken in terms of their personality. Who are your leaders and how are they leading?
Well, you know, the main thing with Chloe Moore, she's our senior post, and she's not going to be that vocal leader. She's just going to come in every day. She's just going to lead by her actions, and she works hard. Just a really good kid, great teammate. And then Kenzie Atkins is a little more of a leader. She's been in volleyball a lot, so you know, the dynamics of the last 3 or 4 months, it's hard to tell who's going to step up. But we've got some juniors. Chloe Willis kids look up to her. Very nice player, got a lot of skills, but her leadership style is not going to be very vocal. I mean, she's going to be one of those that's going to lead by her actions. And then Lily Hutchins, she's just a fireball. She's got a lot of energy. She's going to be one of those kids that's going to try to lead more vocally. So those four we need good leadership from, and then those sophomores to step in. And you know, I'm one of those coaches. I don't think it has to be a senior. I just want somebody to step up that leads every day by example, and that can step up and be a vocal leader when we need it to happen. But so I think those sophomores can be that as well. So there's several kids that can step up and lead this team. I'm not for sure I can say it's going to be one single kid, but we've got a lot of kids that have the potential to lead our basketball team this year.
Coach, talk a little bit about the challenge of District 8 and how you approach it, knowing every night you got to fight hard for every win, whether you're playing the top team or the bottom team in the district.
Absolutely, you know, and that's the thing, as I was mentioning, over the 8 years that I have seen the maturation process. You know, we've got different coaches in here, and we've got some coaches that have really brought a lot to this league because District 8 AAA has been notoriously good for many years. And this year, for sure, is going to be very competitive. And that's the thing from a coach's standpoint is every night you've got to bring it. And if you don't bring it on a given night, you're going to get beat. And that's where, you know, from a coach's standpoint, you know, you want to practice well every single day because you know if you're not practicing well, then, hey, you're going to struggle on game night. So I think that's going to be the main thing that we're going to have to do is it's just going to be a competitive game every single night. And so we have to start in practice, being able to compete in practice.
I'm just curious, taking, again, a look at the district as a whole, what you think it takes to get a team prepared to match up with that other district when it gets to the region.
Right, you know, and that's the thing, you know, we've talked about it in my 8 years, our district has won 3 girls basketball region games on the basketball floor. We won one 3 years ago, I think Coffee County won one last year, and then Shelbyville won 3 years ago. And so that's been hard. And the thing with us is not that necessarily our teams haven't been competitive. That other league, that other region has just been, they've just been loaded with talent. And so, you know, last year Coffee County was a very balanced basketball team, and they had good guard play. You know, they had kids that could put the ball in the basket. You know, you couldn't just focus on one kid. And I think to go and to compete against the Rutherford County schools, you have to be a balanced team. You've got to be able to handle the basketball because they're athletic. They're going to get after you. They're going to trap you. So you've got to handle their pressure. You've got to have multiple kids that can score the basketball so they can't just rely on one player. And so that's the main thing that I have seen in our league is that we've got some balanced teams now. And so we've got many teams that can go out and compete, that can handle some of the pressure that Rutherford County puts on us.
Anybody else? Coach, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And again, you're listening to a special edition of Off the Bench. We're live in Fayetteville at the District 8 AAA Basketball Media Day.
They're going to be doing a little mic switch here, so we'll get that taken care of. Shane Clark is the boys coach for the Wildcats.
It says 19 years, but it has to be more than that, Coach. Come on.
Well, he doesn't look like he's 29 years old, so he's been the coach since he was 10. Shane,
Thank you, Mr. Weaver.
Mr. Weaver. Make me feel old too.
It's 19, but I've been here 23 years. It's my 23rd year. I lost my mind, went to the office for 4 years. So came back to my senses and got back in it. So this is my 13th year back, but 19 overall. One thing I want to allude to that Coach Porter was just talking about is something that I really am glad we're having this because we need to promote our district. We need to get to where we can compete and overachieve with District 7 AAA and get back to winning some region games. You know, had some teams in the past. We've been blessed enough to make it to sub-state 3 out of the last 10 years, and that feels awfully good. And the last couple of years it felt awfully bad not being able to compete in region tournaments. So hopefully we can do that. As far as my guys, I only got 2 seniors, but I feel like they are really good leaders, as good a leaders as I've had in a while, seniors. And they're great leaders on the floor and off the floor. You know, we got to get back to blue collar mentality as far as my guys. I feel like the last couple of years we've kind of rested on the laurels of successes of predecessors, and that's something that I feel like's cost us the last couple of years. So you know, we're going blue collar. We're gonna work like everybody, but we got to get our team chemistry back, and that's something that we've really focused on, is getting our team chemistry as number one, and you know, overachieving this year. You know, lately we've been shooting threes like crazy. You know, we repainted the floor a few years ago and a couple years ago, and I think that made us go from shooting about 2,000 threes a season to shooting about 4,000 threes. And this year will be a little different from that because we're going to go inside out. Post plays improving, and we're going to do a lot of inside and out to try to help that. Had a kid set to be our point guard, Alex Carr. He's our quarterback in football, and he tore his ACL. So, you know, we're having to adjust from that a little bit or a lot. So that's something that will be a challenge for us to compensate that. We are young, got a real good bunch of sophomores, a few juniors. I've got one transfer from Wayne County, Luke Nichols, and he's a great kid. I think he's going to pan out. If he does, that'll be the second transfer in 19 years I've had pan out. But he is a good kid, and he fits right in with our kids, and so I think that'll be good. So we got a freshman, at least one freshman that's going to be contributing. It's going to be in the mix. Going to kind of throw him to the wolves. I coached his dad. I was actually coaching his dad when I first came here. So that's he's a good coachable kid, and Cade Schultz really going to be a name that is going to be recognizable with us for 4 years. We scrimmage, us and our girls scrimmage at Hardin County on November 12th. We're going to go together and scrimmage. We scrimmage at the Riverdale Play Day. I think we're actually going to be at Stewart's Creek on November 9th. So that's our other play day. Christmas, we'll play at the Times Daily in Florence. and that's a good tournament. Last year we were fortunate enough to make it to semis and get to play at UNA, and they feed you, and it's a really neat tournament to be a part of. Schedule with us, Coach Porter alluded to it. You know, we're all over the place. Florence is a really good school for us to play because they really simulate the Murfreesboro schools, and so that's you know, they took us to the Woodshed twice last year, and looking at the Times Daily bracket, they may take us to the Woodshed 3 times this year, but if they do, we'll be better for it. You know, that's something that I think this district, like all of you are alluding to, is competitive night in, night out. If you try to take a night off, you're going to get your tail kicked. You know, if you overlook somebody, you're going to get beat. And I don't think that'll change. I think it's always going to be that way. So hopefully we'll be on top, but hopefully we'll all be stronger to where we can go into a region tournament and do some get back to doing some damage.
Coach, you coached a long time, and I've covered you for a long time. And you're one of those guys that you may not be strong at the beginning, but you're prepared for the tournament at the end. Has that always been your philosophy?
Well, I promise you, we're not going to be strong at the beginning. So we better get better. We will get better, though. And yeah, that's what we look at, is you look at it after Christmas, really strengthening for tournament, and then by February, really being as strong, playing our best basketball February and going in, heading into tournament. Hopefully that'll be the case.
One other question. We've got a sophomore, Elijah Reynolds, and we saw some things out of him as a freshman. What's his?
I wasn't even going to mention him, Stanley. He's going to be a special player. He really is. He's got a lot of talent, and he's a great kid. He's a fun-loving kid, and he just goes out, and every day is a new day. And he's going to be able to do some things that most of our kids aren't able to do. I'll just say that.
You got a present before we get there.
Shane, with Stanley stole my question, by the way, but I do have another question. Alex Carr, your sophomore, who was pretty good point guard. I know he was going to have a lot of time injured. Hope to get back later. Who will kind of fill in running your point to start the season at least?
Be point guard by committee, but also it'll wind up our shooting guard, Caden Vaughn, will have to play some point also, just because he's more comfortable with the ball than anybody else coming back that has experience. Our freshman, Cade Schultz, will even be handling the ball some as he gets more and more comfortable.
Coach, I'm curious how your team's embraced what you call more of a blue-collar mentality to playing basketball versus the style you played the last couple of years.
Nobody enjoyed the 8-20 last year and being where we were. You know, it wasn't just me and them just getting through it. They didn't enjoy it. They've seen too much success. They've been a part of too much success to enjoy that. Even the younger kids didn't enjoy it, and you know, if we're like that again, they won't enjoy it this year either. I'll make sure we don't. But that's something that I think, you know, as far as success and our success, they want to win. There's not a whole lot else to do in Lawrenceburg. And so, you know, when you're talking November through February, it's a lot more fun to be in the gym than anything else going on around there. There's not a whole lot of distractions, and y'all know when you come down and play, it's going to be a rowdy environment, whether it's beach night or any of those other nights we come up with, Coach Hope. But we're you know, it's just something that's going to be a high priority.
And you touched on it a little bit, getting the district where they can be competitive with the Murfreesboro district in the region tournament. Aside from a tough schedule and scheduling quality teams so your team understands this is what you face in the region tournament, what else as a coach can you do to be more competitive with the District 7 schools from Rutherford County?
Well, we just have to have a low margin of error is what I call it. We have to not turn the ball over, get at least good one look every trip down, and focus on transition defense, get back down the floor, don't give them anything easy, and just don't let people get comfortable. And that's something that we just have to value possessions. You know, one year, just a few years ago, we had our opponent averaged 22 turnovers a night, and we averaged 5 point something. I mean, you're going to win most of those nights if you hold your own on the boards. And so that's what we just try to make sure that we're accountable in practice and that and in games and you know, win that turnover margin, win the rebounding margin, and you know, we always say you take care of the small things, and the big things are going to take care of themselves, hopefully.
Shane, that said, you know, how do you simulate over the course of a year what you're going to see at the region level, or do you?
We don't. I'd like to, but there's times you just can't. There's times you just can't simulate it, and you just have to work to be so fundamentally sound that when you get in a game, you're ready for it. And some of it is just being patient and just not trying to, you know, we always say, don't try to make there's no 4-point passes, there's no 4-point shots. And one thing that I try to do personally in practice is we really limit dribbles. So we don't want east and west dribbles, and we want things to be effective. I know we all try to do that, but that's something that we have to do. If we waste dribbles, if we take bad shots, it costs us. So you know, it's not always easy to simulate, Maurice. It's just sometimes we just have to try to be as fundamentally sound. So when we get in a game and we haven't been able to simulate it perfectly, that we're able to do that.
Anybody else?
Coach, 19 years in the district, how has basketball changed and how's the district changed that time frame?
That's a good question because, you know, I tell the guys, I say it's the same game, we just complicate it. You know, driving over here today, I remember going and exchanging tapes with Andrew Taylor and Kevin Thomas and all those guys down at the interstate. Me and my dad would come down and swap VHS tapes. So, you know, scouting has changed as far as preparation. I think sometimes we have to be awfully careful or we over prep for teams. You know, I think if you're not careful, and I think people get caught on this a lot, is if you're not careful, you prepare for the other team more than you prepare your own team. And so I try to make sure that we focus on us and we look at, you know, personnel, and we look at things like that with other teams, but try not to get over caught up on film. But I think technology has definitely changed it. I'll say this, and this may be my soapbox, but there are so many distractions other than getting kids to get in a gym and sweat their tails off and work extra to have a chance to play, and then to have a chance to beat teams that they shouldn't beat. There's so many distractions that I think that's becoming a harder and harder sell. And so with us, what we're trying to do is we're trying to promote team chemistry. Like I said before, we're trying to promote it more than ever, to where it means enough to be part of this team, regardless of how much you're going to play, just so we can have a chance to go out and overachieve. Because it's a harder sell than it was 19 years ago when there wasn't near as much to do and near as many distractions. That's me getting old, but that's my take on it. I just think it's a harder sell than it was 19 years ago to get kids to work hard and buy in. Y'all may not have that problem.
Coach, talk a little bit about going from shooting a lot of threes to developing a different scheme. How has it been in terms of developing your team this year?
Well, and that's something that I think, you know, all of us just take what team we've got and we look at our personnel and say, here's what our strengths can be and here's what our weaknesses are going to be that we're going to have to improve on. And I think the last few years, we've had enough guys that could fill it up from the outside. And now, I'm not telling y'all anything you ain't going to see on film. Now, we don't have as many that are comfortable shooting outside yet. Now, I got some young kids that are going to be good shooters eventually, but we're just not as comfortable right now from the outside as we have been in the past. But I've got a couple of big old bruisers that can do some damage inside, like I had maybe 13, 14 years ago. And I think so we're going to go back doing some of the stuff to get them to, we're going to go inside out more. The last couple of years we've been more outside in. And if we passed it in, it was pretty much just to kick it back out and see who was going to fire it up first. So, you know, that's something that we are working on. That's not telling Mike Holt anything he ain't gonna know already. Thank you, Ron.
Anybody else? Coach, thank you.
Hey, thank you, Dennis.
Again, live coverage here on WCDT this morning of the District 8 AAA Basketball Media Day. Back to Coach Weed.
Chad Tips, Lincoln County girls coach.
Well, I'd like to thank Coach Cope and Dennis Weaver for getting this together. Contrary to Coach Holt's opinion, I had nothing to do with it. I just reserved this room since I made the long trip. I had the shortest trip over here to reserve the room. That's all I did. So I have learned today that tonight or the rest of I don't know until I see you guys play, I'm not going to sleep very well. It's probably the same for all these other coaches because everybody sounds like they're going to be good, and I do believe it. I know Coach Porter and I were talking out in the hallway that, of course, I'm speaking from the girls' side that about it's probably the same for maybe the same for the guys, but that you can look around the room and everybody, you know, you can say you've gotten better, you've gotten better, you've gotten better. You know, most years seems like about half the teams have lost a real core of their roster, but maybe the other half has a lot of experience coming back. This year, it seems like just about everybody is on paper is going to be better than they were last year, and I think last year was a really competitive year and really good district, really good teams in our district, and starting to gain maybe some traction towards winning some district or region games versus District 7 AAA. I grew up in Moore County in the 90s, and so we didn't play in this district, obviously, but knowing the quality of basketball in District 8 AAA from then, and hearing about it before that, all the way through now, District 8 AAA, the history of girls basketball in this district is probably second to none if you look at the totality of the time in the TWA. And we've struggled here lately, but I'm like Coach Porter. It's not necessarily that we've been necessarily really that far off. It's just that District 7 AAA has been really good. But I do think, looking around the room, that we've got some really good players, really good coaches, and sounds like some really good players coming into the district from younger. Like Coach Porter, we don't have any transfers either. The portal must not be open to us. I don't know. I think it is to Hazel Green, maybe right down the road in Alabama, and maybe everybody else, but it's not to us. So maybe we can get a few. But it's good to have a good media day. It's good for our district. I think in the single A and double A in this area, they've had a lot, several teams that have been successful on the state level. We've struggled with that a little bit, and again, it's mainly because 7 AAA is so good. They're also so big, so media people, if you can talk about classification a little bit, that'd be great. We're closer in enrollment to some of the single A teams than we are to anybody in 7 AAA. I know Lincoln County is, and you can look that up. And there's a whole classification between us and some of those teams in single A. So anyway, I'll move on. As far as our roster goes, we have got several kids coming back. We do have 11 freshmen. It's been said here before with other teams, but I think we're going to have some really competitive practices, probably more so than we have in the past. These 11 freshmen we're going to have to keep it pretty simple. We can't keep it so simple that everybody knows what we're doing. So we're going to have to keep it multiple a little bit, but still pretty simplified because we do have 11 freshmen, and several of those kids will play. And I'm excited about them. If it was if I was a college football coach and we're up here at SEC Media Days, people would be talking about the recruiting class and things like that. But this would be one of those deals. I don't know if there's any studs in there that are going to come in and blow anybody away right now as a freshman. But I do think it's a class that will fit certain needs. There's a kid here that can help that really in this niche is going to be really good for us as a freshman. And there's a kid there that might be really good for us as a freshman. It's going to be it's a class of it fills a lot of needs. So I'm excited about that. And I do think moving forward as they mature and get older, there are some kids in there that have a chance to be really some of the better players throughout our district. And as far as our returning kids, We have two seniors, Millie Slayton and Allie Hall. Both those players have played a whole lot of minutes in high school basketball. They played as freshmen when I was still coaching the boys. Millie Slayton is, if we gave an award for district defensive MVP, she ought to be right up there with them. She's very consistent defensively. She grinds out possessions, very attentive to scouting reports. Nobody really knows her name because she's offensively, she'll score some points and she can put the ball in the hole, but her deal is defensive minded. And she's really, really good. And Allie Hall is a post player who can step out and shoot it and makes some shots facing the basket, makes some shots around the basket as well, and plays with a lot of energy. And then we have Amelia Kate Richardson. I know a lot of the coaches in here are appreciative of her and her efforts, and she's a pretty good player. She's a point guard, which does help me sleep at night as long as she's healthy and playing pretty well. That is like having a good quarterback. She's the kind of kid who, no matter who you're playing, if she's playing well, she gives you a shot to stay in the game and to play and to be competitive. As long as the kids around her are playing pretty well, she's gonna give you that shot to beat a team who maybe you shouldn't beat because she is the point guard. And she's she's one of the best players in this district. She 2 years ago as a freshman started and played on a team that had 5 wins, and then last year won 16. And so I know the coaches know this, but I don't know how many other people recognize Amelia Kate as one of the best players in our district, and she definitely is. And then we have Lily Stubblefield, who played a lot last year. She's a really good shooter. And then Annalise Malone, as a freshman, came in last year and played a lot and really had some big games for us. Now she's come back as a sophomore post player, and I think she's going to help us. And so that's basically our roster. And just real quick in our schedule, we start off with Ardmore and Buckhorn in the first week. Ardmore is right down the road here from us. They won 18 games last year, so that's another tough team we're going to play. And Buckhorn, one of the bigger, more athletic schools in the North Alabama area. And then we play Moore County and Giles County. Those are kind of traditional rivals or games for us. Then we're going to the State Farm Classic there with Coach Cope and Coffee County has mentioned they're going up there. We're playing Oakland and Mount Juliet, I think. So there you go. The only thing we hadn't scheduled yet is the Lakers, I think. But anyway, and then we play at Loretta, just a girls-only deal, mainly because when you're making schedules, people have alluded to this before. You want it to help you. Sometimes you soften it up, maybe get a little bit of confidence and stuff. Sometimes you want to guard certain players and play in certain environments. Carly Weathers is no secret to anyone, I don't think, anymore over there. She's gotten a ton of D1 offers and all that kind of stuff, and I just think that'll help us because we got some good players in this district we're going to have to guard too. So we're going to go over there and play in what they call the barn, which is a tough environment to play in, and I'm sure it'll be a nice crowd. And I just want to go play her. It doesn't matter where she was. We're just going to go play. And like I said, they needed a game, so we're going to play them, and then we're going to finish up with Stewart's Creek in the Classic that we're playing up there with Coffee County. So I think that pretty much covers our schedule, our out-of-district schedule. We are going to the Border Wars Tournament, which is over Thanksgiving in Dalton, Georgia. And it's a pretty close trip, but we are going to spend the night, or, it's relatively close as far as spend the night and things like that. We are going to spend the night and play a couple of games. But Coach Holt, I did notice, and I thought about exactly what you said when I got the schedule. It's hosted by Northwest Whitfield, and I think they were top 16 or so in the state of Georgia last year. And that's who we get to play the first night. So you find out what they think about us. So maybe we'll go over there and play well and represent District 8 AAA. I think I've covered everything I was going to say. If anybody has any questions.
Coach, you guys host the district tournament this year. Are you looking forward to that with the atmosphere in your gym and playing on your home floor?
Yeah, I think so. It's one of those things that rolls around once every 7 years. And the last time it was at Lincoln County. We're centrally located, so it's kind of one of those things that it's easy for just people who maybe not have a child play, that maybe lives in Winchester, lives in Manchester, lives in Lawrenceburg. They can come here and watch just like our community can. So it's centrally located, so it seems to naturally have a pretty good crowd, even if we're not happen to be playing that night. So just for that alone, I think it's good. But of course, it does give our kids a little bit maybe of incentive. If we get matched up with the team that's going to be your home court obviously should help you. There's been years though we've played worse at home than we have on the road. So maybe this should be one of those years we play better at home, and maybe it'll factor in down the stretch. But we are excited about it.
Coach, talk a little bit about the transition. I mean, when you came to Lincoln County, you've been the boys basketball coach involved in the boys program for a long time. And then now you're coaching girls. Talk a little bit about the difference between the two in that transition for you.
You know, it's interesting. I've been asked that, a lot before. My general answer is there's not a lot of difference. I don't know what that says about boys or girls, but there's not a lot of difference. I found, girls can hang in there with the best of them. The kids I've been fortunate enough to coach are tough-minded, generally. The girls I'm talking about as far as switching over. I think maybe the perception is, well, you got to be, soft or whatever since you're coaching girls. But I think the girls coached in here, they'll tell you, they're not any more soft because they're coaching girls than they are guys. So it's the same sport, it's the same deal. You're trying to, like Coach Clark was talking about, you don't want to play our district and our, against everybody in here, much less against District 7 AAA. You got to have a grit and a toughness about you, so you do have to instill that into your kids, whether it be girls or boys. I enjoyed the 13 years I coached the boys. We had some really battles with a lot of you people in here, Michael when he was playing and Coach Clark when he's coaching and all that kind of stuff. And I do miss coaching against some of those guys and stuff because we had some really good battles and stuff. But we're starting to develop that. I'm starting to just develop that with Coach Porter instead of Shane maybe and stuff like that. But so it really hadn't been a big difference. And as far as why, what the main reason was, you guys that are coaches obviously understand that it's got to be a lifestyle. Coaching is a lifestyle. It's not just an 8 to 4 job or whatever. And so with having 2 daughters, it was that. It enabled me, like tonight, we've got a 3rd grade practice over at the gym. Well, I'm coaching my daughter. But it also allowed me to do that and then develop kids coming up. I'm not just coaching her, I'm coaching her and 9 other kids. So that was mainly it. I think the guys, Coach Cornelius, you're here in a minute, they've got some really, really good kids that I was looking forward to coaching and things. But then the job opportunity came up, so I thought, let me just mesh this and make it simpler for my family and my life. I did not do it to coach my own kids. I know Paul knows me well enough to know that. And in fact, that's one of the things. When I told my daughters I was getting this job, I said, it doesn't mean you're on the team. Now my wife looked at me like I was crazy, but I said, I'm telling you, they're going to have to be good. So that's a good question.
One more question. You were young last year, didn't have a senior on the team. Got 2 this year, and you're still in a young player situation.
Mm-hmm.
As the season progresses, do you think some of these 9th graders will be able to step up in a role and play, contribute when it comes down to crunch time?
Yeah, I think so. We did lose some kids just through attrition and I'm sure playing time and some other things like that, which is natural. Coaches in here kind of understand how that rolls sometimes. But it actually enabled us to make maybe a smoother transition by enabling us to maybe keep a couple extra kids and keep a pretty big freshman class that is going to be able to help us. And actually, I hope on November 19th, probably 4 or 5 of those young kids will get in the basketball against Ardmore, and we'll just kind of start from scratch, right away. The summertime, playing in the summertime, I was actually pretty surprised at how the freshmen assimilated themselves to high school basketball and just with the pace and the physicality of it. Some of those young kids like really being more physical than the older kids did when they were freshmen. And they're more comfortable playing maybe a little bit faster pace. And they played some AAU and some things like that. So we're gonna need them to, whether they're ready or not. We're gonna need a few early, but I do think as we go, some of them will be pretty good high school players this year as freshmen.
Coach, aside from not having to make a long bus trip to North Alabama, talk about the advantages of matching up with those schools and how they get you ready for district play in the postseason.
Yeah, Madison County, North Alabama, they Coach Clark and Coach Porter referenced playing Florence. That generally down in North Alabama, Madison County, Limestone County, Lauderdale County, I guess it is. They have some some really athletic teams and really good players. Not unlike what we see within our district, but it's just another opportunity to get out of district and go down and play someone that might have the kind of athletic ability that you might see on a night when you're playing at Blackman or at Riverdale, or Riverdale coming to your place or something like that in the region. Before you get to the region, my thing is, if you're playing a first-round region game and that's the best athletes you've played all year, it really is tough to have your kids have some hope to tread water early in the ball game. They're going to get overwhelmed pretty quick. So you do want to go down and use scheduling to help you. Being here against North Alabama, it's kind of weird because their schedule's off a little bit as far as ours, and we're the last humans in the world to practice basketball this year. I think every state around us and every NBA, college, junior pros practicing. Everybody's practicing besides us. But it's a little bit. It does have some challenges. It does have some challenges as far as scheduling because they are on a different calendar. But it's so far we've been able to build some pretty good relationships and get that done. So it's helped us.
Anybody else? Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Mark Cornelius is the boys coach for Lincoln County.
I guess like most folks, just want to thank everybody for putting this together. I've been a part of something like this for probably the last 6 or 7 years at other jobs, and I think that's the number one thing, me coming into this situation. I've already been at the school for a couple of years, like everybody knows probably, but one of the things that I want to try to do is just to move basketball forward as an event, not just a game. I think that's why I love what y'all do with all the different nights and things like that. I'm serious. I think it's a great thing to do, to where it's something where the crowds get a little bit more excited than whether or not it's just a basketball game. So if I'm able to help and do something along that line, then I'm all about it, because I'm just really all about basketball and making sure more and more people appreciate what our kids do, whether it's in the summer or in the spring or, of course, during the season. A little bit about situation for me. Most of y'all know that I was the assistant coach, and I love that because I'd never had been one. I've been a head coach for like 32 years. In my career, I've never been an assistant coach ever. I wish I'd have found out that little gem a little bit earlier, because being the guy that says go talk to the head coach when somebody's upset with something was a great feeling to have. I have slept better for 2 years than I've slept the past 32. And I'm dead serious with that. When the game was over, I'd go eat dinner and hang out with my friends. I'd go to bed, and whatever happened, that was Marty's deal, and I could really get care less. I'd just move on. So that was fantastic. Never had that feeling before. So, but now that I had the opportunity to step back into the head coaching stuff, I'm excited about that, because I really wanted to see what it was like. I coached at several different levels. I've been at the University of Alabama for 2 years. I coached junior college in Alabama for 8. Coached high school for pretty much the rest of it. A couple girls varsity for about 6 years in Birmingham. So, coming back up here and getting back on the boys' side as a head coach is something I really wanted to do, and just kind of see how things go before I ride off into the sunset. So I'm excited. My guys are awesome. I'm in a good situation because they already trusted me. I think that's a big thing. We have 8 seniors this year. We did have somebody transfer in, but they were a cheerleader, but that's okay. We're all good. She's tough, but anyway, I'm amazed by some of that stuff. But anyway, Ben Bassham, of course, is probably our leading point guy over the last few years. He's been starting on the varsity since a 10th grader. Does an outstanding job. Love coaching the kid. Puts in the work. Michael Gill is our second leading scorer that's returning. He's also a senior, and he's just one of those guys that's a gritty fighter during the game, and that's what I want to do. We're going to be kind of like Lawrence County as far as I'm an old school coach, so I keep the game real simple. I tell my guys, basically, we just want the other team to play by the rules. And if we make them play by the rules, it doesn't matter how athletic they are, it doesn't matter what they do. If they play by the rules, we got a chance. Because if I box him out, it's illegal to come over my back. It's okay, that's our ball. If we set a great screen, they can't run over you. I don't care how athletic they are, it's our ball. If they jumping up and down, going crazy next to the goal, now we're making an athletic game, that's a problem. If they're shooting 15-foot jump shots off the dribble, we got a chance. So that's what our whole pressure is. That's all we do. We work on those things. And if they make 15-footers off the dribble, I tell my guys, you know what? They're better than us. And we're going to lose that game. This is what happens. But most high school kids can't, so that's why we do that. had a lot of different pieces. I've added one post player that was a football guy that's came in and has really helped us a ton. Not real tall, he's about 6'2", but like, I can't remember which one, but he's about 250, and can shoot the fool out of the ball, which is kind of crazy, but can finish. So he's given me a lot of different pieces so that if we wanted to go small, we can go small. If I wanted to go heavy, I can go heavy. If I wanted to go long, we have another senior, Jesse Whitehead, that's about 6'7", that can really jump out of the gym, so he gives me a shot blocker if I need that. So we have a lot of interesting pieces that I'll be able to plug in and out depending on what we need to do that particular night. Our schedule, you probably heard a little bit about that already. You know, we're playing Buckhorn. We're going to Deschler for a Christmas tournament. That'll get us a look. I like playing different types of schools. I don't like playing the same team 47 times. It just takes the fun out of it for me. It definitely takes fun out of it for the kids. So one of my first jobs in Birmingham, I played our areas, and down there we played like the same guy 5 times in 1 year. That got really old. I actually went to a tournament and played a team from Birmingham in Arkansas that's literally like 3 miles away from my school. So that was a whole lot of fun to travel that far to play somebody that's 3 miles from your school that we already played during the regular season. Just one of those weird quirks. So I like to get out and try to play different people because I want to see different styles, so that as we learn what we do, we don't teach like how to beat Lawrence County. We try to teach how to beat basketball teams. So everything is a technique, everything is a scheme, and that way if we do have time to prep, that's great. If we don't, then you know how to handle whatever comes to you. So that's just kind of my philosophy on that. I think the year overall is going to be exciting. I think the league is really strong. My coach has said, I mean, there really is no night off. If you don't bring it, somebody is going to bring it to you probably. And I'm looking forward to the challenge.
Coach, your roster is trimmed down substantially from the last year or two.
Right.
Kind of compared to the last year's program, the year before, what's your different approach to it as far as the way the game moves and the way the game flows?
Well, that's what the unique thing was. I mean, this starting date, like we were talking about already, is kind of bizarre for me. I mean, normally in Alabama, it's like October the 14th is around the time you normally start. November the 4th, I'm glad the state thinks that I can coach so well that in 5 days I'm ready to play a game when football gets 4 weeks, but that's another story. Now, the one thing that I would be really concerned about is if I hadn't already been in the program is seriously how in the world would you get prepped for even a scrimmage. But because I'm already there, offensively nothing will change as far as what we run. Now, substitution patterns and all that is going to be 100% different because that's just not how I function. Once again, systems, it's not the system, it's not right or wrong, it's just different. And so my philosophy as far as who plays and how much is different than Marty as far as that's concerned. But that was his wheelhouse, so that's why he handled that. Now, he handled all the defensive stuff because we ran it like a football program where he was the defense coordinator, I was the offense coordinator. And so now I've had to implement a little bit more of my defense. So, getting through that in the spring, because I'm a lot more man-oriented, so therefore it's a little bit more in depth at times. So we've gotten prepped for that, but like I said, luckily they already knew half of what was going to be going on anyway, so it made my job a lot easier.
Anybody else?
Coach, District 8, you've had a couple years experience with it with having been an assistant, and everybody talks about how competitive it is from the team at the top to the team at the bottom. What's one of the factors you think can put your squad over the edge and allow them to have a good season with the veteran unit that you're putting out?
Well, I think our experience factor is probably one of our biggest asset. When you have 8 seniors and we have 12 players on the varsity, and I'll be honest with you, all 12 can play. They all bring something to the table. In the past, we've You know, we're shooting the ball a lot better right now. You know, in the past we were like that team. You know, we have a lot of great outside shooters, but we play all of our games inside, so that's a problem. But for us, I think the depth and our guard play, I think between Jalen Brown, Ben, Bassham, we have a 10th grader named Owen Sandlin. I think those 3 guards as a combo unit will really be able to handle what the league is going to ask of them to handle. You know, I don't get to sit down a whole lot because I'm one of those coaches that stand up a lot. But, you know, with my guys this year, because they've kind of been through so much with me already, that we should, you know, I can't sit down, but I won't have to do as much control stuff because they know what I want. And that's a big plus.
You talked in your opening comments about making a basketball game. What are some of those things that you're looking to try to build that atmosphere at Lincoln County?
Well, I mean, there's some things that are a little unique, but I also want to, you know, with the rules of the TSS, AAA, or whatever that, I think I got that right. All right, so like we will have like junior pro football night. We will have junior pro basketball night. We will have, you know, I'll invite like the cheerleading competition groups to come in and perform at halftime. We'll have halftime entertainment as far as some type of a contest or something for the kids where somebody from Coffee County will be competing against somebody from Lincoln County. We're talking with some, like a furniture place there in town, to get some lazy boys out there so we could have like the best seat in the house contest. And you draw the name and they get to watch the game from a lazy boy during the game instead of sitting up in the stands, but everybody else with those wooden bleachers that, you know, get to you after a while. So trying to look at different things like that so that kids and parents want to come to the games and see something going on instead of just, I sit down, I pay my $8, there's a ball bouncing, now let's go home.
Can you get one of those lazy boys up there in the birdhouse?
Coach Clark wants one for Lawrence County, so we can get it on.
It's on the table. We're there on separate nights.
But I will say, the one thing about this event is, I don't know how people will accept it. I do think, based on us starting it in Birmingham when I was there, you know, the first year was kind of and then the second year was a little bit better, and now it's really turned into this major event. So whatever the feedback might be about this, I'd discard it and just make sure you continue to do that, because it is something that I think needs to happen, because it gives it relevance and it gives the sport relevance, and I think it gives it, you know, at some point somebody needs to read something besides what's going on, you know, I mean, not that football is unimportant, but something other than that, because there are people that want to read something about that. The only thing I would do is add players. I think it'd be great to have some of the players here to talk, but other than that, that's about it. Anything else? All right, thank y'all.
We go to Tullahoma, girls coach Cody McMurtry, defending district champions.
Just wanted to thank you guys for hosting this event and having us. Told Coach Welch when we got the schedule, I guess last week, that they put us at the end so you guys could let us know how bad we are going to be. And when Coach Tips was just up here talking a minute ago, it kind of put it in perspective of you kind of see everyone, how good everyone's going to be, especially from the girls' side of things. Just looking at our season and our schedule and going through things, just from a summer and workouts, we've almost doubled our roster from last year. We had 11 girls on our roster last year, and we're up to 20 this year. We didn't lose anyone, and we didn't have any seniors, and we have 4 seniors this year. Julia Duncan, Ty Harden, Jessica Eddy and Macy Bowman. Going into preseason, we have scrimmages, play days that we're attending. First one that we're going to is actually just a three-way scrimmage with Blackman and Beach, more or less a controlled scrimmage at Blackman, just working on things, and it's more going to be with JV type things, really, is what she wants to work on. Some varsity stuff, but it's the first Saturday after practices. Then we're going to a Riverdale play day and waiting to get that schedule, figure out who we play on the following Saturday, and then we're playing Nolensville in a scrimmage as well. Looking at our out of district schedule with we have a somewhat challenging out of district. Play Lebanon, Father Ron. We get to go to Clark Range, Warren County, which we play almost every year, Independence, and then Gallatin and Hendersonville. It's not as maybe not as challenging as our schedule was last year in terms of as many Rutherford County schools, but it varies in terms of schools that we don't necessarily play all the time, and I think it gives a good variance in schedule and what we get to do. We only have 2 home games before Christmas, and so when doing our scrimmages and everything before in the preseason, what we tried to do was just schedule everything on the road, so we're not at home on anything. We're at Blackman, at Riverdale, and at Nolensville, just to try to give the girls that feel of being away from home, since we only have 2 home games before the break. Just looking at from the perspective of the summer, we had a good summer that gave our young girls an opportunity to get experience. We didn't have some girls this summer. We were missing 2 juniors from injury. We had one of our seniors, Jessica Eddy. She's a softball player, so actually committed to Wallace State to play softball, and she missed a lot of camps because of softball. So it gave an opportunity for a lot of sophomore and freshmen who probably wouldn't have got the opportunity to play to just kind of step in and get that experience. So we're looking forward to them kind of building on that and gaining some more experience here in the preseason and going into the season. Hopefully they can draw on that and get some more competitive practices, because it's hard practicing with just 11 kids and maintaining that just that fire for a 2-hour practice and going through a practice like that. So just want to open it up and see any questions that you guys might have.
Coach, you brought up the seniors, but I want to actually ask about one of your juniors in Kaylin coming back this season. A lot of the struggles early in the season last year was her having been out half of the season, so when she got acclimated back, you guys went on this big run. So how good is it going to be to have her from the start of the season this year?
It's going to be huge for us. Kaylin Farrell, she's a dominant presence for us, but she's also a leader on our team. Even though she is a junior, she kind of the glue that kind of keeps everything together. So not having her at the beginning of last year kind of had everything fall apart, I guess would say. I mean, we kind of had to learn how to play again, and just when we were learning how to do that, she came back, and then we kind of had to relearn how to play again. But it's going to be huge. Just knowing that she's going to be there. and just the role that she's going to play, and now she's getting pushed a little bit in practice with during the summer with some of the younger post players who either are, what I like to say, are either too stupid to know that they should be scared of her, or just play with no fear. So either way, it's been good for her.
Coach, obviously, as I mentioned, you had this slow start to this season. I think it was 0-6 to start the season.
0-7.
0-7, okay. But talk to me a little bit of how getting off to a strong start this season will be for you guys.
I would love to get off to a strong start. Just thinking about that the other day, but honestly, I wouldn't have the season play out any other way than it did last year. I think that honestly that it helped build our character and helped us down the road, and when it got to tournament time, and ultimately, like, that's what you play for is the tournament, and the season's just one big preseason, really building for the tournament. So, but it's going to be huge for us to get off to a good start in those first 2 or 3 games, just so that doesn't sink back in. Oh, here we go again with it, and there was, I think part of it was those girls trying to get used to me last year, and part of it was them feeling sorry for themselves about Kaylin and all that, and it was just just a big like get over yourself type thing last year. And once that happened, then it was time to get back to work, and they did a great job of doing that.
Coach, talk about the challenge. You're only having a handful of ball games before your first district game, and on top of that, it's a rivalry because it's always a little bit more intense when Franklin County and Tullahoma play.
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking at the schedule when we did that. I think that was in the springtime, and we drew those numbers. It's definitely gonna be a challenge. With that, I believe last year though we had Chevyville, so it was kind of the same deal. But we're gonna have to jump back right into it, just from a rivalry standpoint. Have the girls deal with that. Having a new coach to get used to, and then just expectations of home. It being our home game, and being right there going into Christmas break and all the things you have to deal with kids, and coming off of the Thanksgiving lull and all that. But the great thing is having some senior leadership this year that hopefully we can maintain and get through that, and we don't have any problems, because we do have a lot of right there being on the border of with one of our middle schools. We don't have any problems getting up for Franklin County for whatever reason. So that's never been an issue, and that's one game that our girls really look forward to, and I know Franklin County looks forward to. So I think it's going to, when we brought it back to the school, the principal and the AD thought it was awesome. And I think Franklin County will think it's awesome, because I think when it flips next year that you open up with a big rivalry for district play. And back when I was in school 25 years, 30 years ago, Franklin County and Tullahoma used to open up with football every year, and that was huge, and it was always great. And I think it's going to be awesome for basketball.
Coach, first of all, you got a very skillful point guard that most of us will be glad that she's a senior. She's fun to watch, and she has extraordinary talent, no question about it, in dunking. But you got the addition of Caitlin inside. Boy, that gives you a 1-2 punch. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, they do a great job of feeding off of each other. One of the struggles they had last year when Kaylin came back was JD had gotten into a little bit of a rhythm in driving the ball, and now there's this huge presence in the middle, and it was kind of taking away her driving lanes. And once they got used to playing again with each other, those lanes became open again. And this summer you could really see it, and they fed off of each other. And the thing about Kaylin is Kaylin's only been a post for about 3 years. Kaylin came up a guard. Kaylin didn't hit a growth spurt till 9th grade, and so she has guard skills. And so Kaylin thinks like a guard, and so when you put her in pick and roll situations, or you feed her the ball, and a guard comes off of it, she's thinking what you should do. She's giving you a look of like, hey, you need to go here, or you need to cut here, or just stay right there. I'm about to get you the ball, because that's what she would do. And so they have a bond, and they're pretty close off the floor too. So that also helps. And they talk. Those two talk about basketball all the time. So like you go in the locker room, they're talking about basketball. They're talking about they were talking about Lawrence County the other day. They're like, is 42 still at Lawrence County? That's what Kaylin was asking. And I was like, yeah. And she's still there, and she's like, dang, and they don't know names, they know numbers. Yeah, they're like, because she was just like, dang. And so she's like, she graduating? I was like, no. So, but yeah, they're a tough duo together.
It's amazing to me that when I look at the rosters of all the girls basketball teams in the district, as a coach, every team's got that one player that you gotta just say, it starts right here. And that's amazing to me to see every team in the district has that one girl that everybody knows, and it starts right there in terms of defending. And I like that about District 8 AAA girls basketball.
It's tough. There's no, like Coach said, there's no off nights.
Yeah.
Definitely no off nights.
Anybody else? Thanks, Coach. Coach Welch, you were a W in school. You ought to be like me. You used to be in going last.
This is always last.
If you have your ballots for the projected order finish, or the all-district, preseason all-district, if you just kind of hold them up to me face down, I'll come around and get them. And Rebecca's tallying those while Coach Welch speaks. And he can wait, too.
Right. Again, just glad to be here. I really have enjoyed this. You guys that put this on, and thanks for the opportunity to speak. I feel like I'm that Sunday morning at a basketball clinic speaker, 8 o'clock Sunday morning. Everybody's ready to leave. It's like, hey, tell home we're going to have a team this year. We're going to play 5. See you guys later, But I won't do that. Because once I start talking, I just love the sound of my voice. But I got the Tullahoma job in April, and funny thing about it, I'm already off on me. It's always about me, but you have to know that April the 25th in Tullahoma this past year was Jason Welch Day. All right, I got the job and they gave me a day. I looked at my wife and said, "It only goes downhill from here." I mean, this is. Will I ever get a day again? And he's still mad about it. He won a district championship. He ought to get a day, not me. I got the job. Everything's new for me. I'm the guy that doesn't have a roster here today. I apologize for that. I've got 3 seniors that played last year and are returning. I've got one junior who didn't play last year, and I've got 8 sophomores, 4 freshmen right now. And, you know, the guys have worked really hard. They've been very accepting of me, and Nick Watson's my assistant here. I talked him to come over and help me, and it's working out great with him. But the boys are working hard. I've got 9 in football, so we're kind of, you know, we got 7 kids that we're working with right now, and when practice starts next week, we'll have 7 plus some tryout kids, and probably be trying to beg Cody to practice with me some, so I'll have 5-on-5, or because Nick just had his hip replaced, he can't guard anybody, and so it'll make it tough in practice for us to do much. But again, just you know, I apologize for the picking who was the best players in the district or the teams. I saw Coffee County this summer at camps, the only team I saw, so they're the best team I've seen in the district this year for sure. And players, y'all say names, and I'm like, I just have to shake my head. I know the guys at Tullahoma, and I know them pretty well, but everything's new. I'm so excited to be here at a new district. I grew up in Manchester, so I played in AAA, and coming back and getting to see everybody, it's everybody's like, is it different? I'm like, no, it's the same place I've always been. You know, I mean, said the district tournament was at Lincoln County. I was like, oh, it always was. You know, it used to always be at Lincoln County. And so I'm like, nothing's changed in the world since 1988. This is exactly the same world. But we had a great summer. Probably the guys returned that you'll know, Ben Fulton is a quarterback in football, good shooter for us, had a good summer. We've been working on defending a little bit better, handling a little bit more. Jay Collinsworth plays post for us, but he's again another 6'4" guy that wants to shoot it. First day of practice, coach will vouch for me. I said, all right, I need the guards down here, post down there. I had 22 down here and had 0 down there. All right, everybody was a guard. And I said, well, somebody's going to play post. We're going to start 2 of them. And then I had like 4 that went that way, and I had to cut 3 of them. So I mean, it wasn't a great situation. The kids were smart though. They're like, I'm not making this team unless I'm a post. So they're going to try to be a post. Austin Sechrist is a senior guard for us who's worked extremely hard. He's a guy that's been in the gym all the time. Works out with my son a lot, and just really gets after it. Now, trying to teach aggression. I feel like we have a talented team. Went to the coaching clinic, the Basketball Coaches Association's clinic, and I don't remember which coach it was. I want to think it was Lenny Acuff, who had been at UAH, who's now at Lipscomb. And I think it kind of applies to us. He said, you know, we've got talent. Talent's not going to be the problem. For us, it's going to be, are we tough enough, and what's our basketball IQ? You know, are we tough enough to go out there and get after it, get on the floor? And I think in this district, you know, this is a tough district. People play hard. People get after each other. And I think it is a blue-collar mentality. I really enjoyed hearing all the different coaches talk. After I got done, I thought I should have wrote all this down, you know, because we know that Lawrence is not going to throw it away much. They're going to take care of the ball. And I liked Coach Lincoln County. He said that play by rules. So they got rules where we're saying how we want them to play and things. And just good stuff. Really learned something today. And not just to play against you guys. I just think that those are good things. You understand when you go watch somebody practice in the first 10 minutes, you ought to know what their team's about. And I think, you know, you all got up here and did a really good job of explaining that. And I know your toughness for all of us is high on the list. But those are our 3 seniors we have. I have 8 sophomores. That sophomore class is really good. We're counting on them to be good for the next couple of years. And freshman class, we're going to add a few guys. We'll have tryouts and some guys that now want to try to play a little bit. Because when I came in, we had tryouts, and they hadn't been doing a lot during the summer. They'd been playing a couple of days of summer and being done. And I had some kids that were like, I'll wait and come back later. And I'm like, no, I mean, for here, you got to play now. And so we kind of struggle with that a little bit. But we have tried to change the culture, and the kids have accepted that well. And you got to go to work every day, and we're going to do that. See what I wrote here. Summer camps. I called all my buddies when I got the job. Hey, I need to go to Lebanon and play over there. You know, make a schedule where play somebody good, play somebody I should beat for sure, and to give me somebody that's, you know, we're kind of alike. and I went over and I got Gallatin, who had just got beaten the sub-state and had everybody back. And I got Clarksville Northeast, which was one of the best teams I saw all summer. And that's how we started the summer off. And then we went to Maryville to summer camp. If you ever get a chance, Maryville's a good camp. You can park, stay in the dorm, and you can just walk everywhere. You don't have to drive anywhere to games. We went up there and played, and we got, again, I told the guy the same thing. We got Alcoa. There was Maryville in there. There was, Knox Catholic, who were 6'8", 6'11", had a 6'5" sophomore guard. And I'm like, I know places that don't like me now. I mean, everybody gives me, we went to Oakland, Troy Bond down there that I worked with at Lebanon for years. He was going to give me an easy schedule, and I got Siegel first. And they were beating Gallatin by 40 when I came in. And I said, okay, this, again, Troy doesn't like me either. But we went and saw, everybody. We went to Memphis and played in the Basketball Coaches Association camp out there. If you get a chance, that was a great camp, $200. You get 4 games. It wasn't in Memphis. It was more outside of Memphis, like playing in the Brentwood of Memphis. And so we saw and played some really good people. We got to play Mitchell and all those, and we could compete with those guys at that time of the summer. I think everybody was wore out a little bit, but we actually played really well and finished the summer strong. But we, as far as scrimmage right now, I've only have Richland's coming to us the 14th, and because I really don't know how many numbers I have. It's hard to say you want to scrimmage somebody when you have 7. And I think our football, if they can win Friday night, will have a chance to win the first round of the playoffs, and then the second round play somebody that they've competed well against and have a chance to get to the 3rd round. So we're going to start off the year a little bit. Different kids will play a little bit, but it'll be fun. Our schedule, of course, we start with Independence. We go there. When I came to Tullahoma, I thought, well, at least I'll get to see people I never have seen in Independence. One of my better friends in coaching, Doug Kyle's there, who was at Lebanon with us. And then we go back to Clark Range, where I played my Hall of Fame game last year with Macon County. We go play Clark Range, which if you ever get a chance, you got to go to Clark Range to watch a game. On the side where you sit, if you sit on the bench, your feet are going to be on the floor. You've got to put your feet up under you. You have to sit on the bench so people don't step on your toes when they go by. And it's a very unique situation. Then we played Livingston, but it's a Coach has already talked about those other guys we've got, but again, glad to be in this district, excited. 27th year coaching, I've been 15 years at Macon. Son graduated, and my wife, son and daughter all said, you're not going to be happy if you stay here. You need to go find something. And we were blessed enough that Coach John Olive allowed us to come to Tullahoma, and my son's playing at Motlow, so it worked out good. We've get to keep him at home for another year. 2 things, Basketball Coach Association, need you guys to join the association if you would. It's $100 for your whole school, both programs, or it's like $10 a coach to join, but that'll get your kids in all-star games and things like that, get you on a mailing list, because we need to change that when we start practice, and we need to change classifications. And those are 2 things we work on. And again, the more people we have involved, and we say every coach in our league, our region, are in the association, we have a better chance of getting things done. And probably the biggest problem, it's the Board of Controls, all right? Because when you call TSAA, they're going to say, oh, that's a great idea. They don't change it. It's that Board of Controls that changes it, all right? And there's people that they want 2A to stay where it is because they can win at 2A, but they should really be a 4A, all right, if we were 6As. Because we're like you guys. I played 2A basketball the last 15 years, and I didn't play. Actually, I coached. But I had 950 kids. Now I came to Tullahoma, and I got 1,050 kids, and I play AAA basketball. All right, and I go against Blackman, and is it Arlington, who has 3,000 kids or something like that? That's not really fair, and we need more things, more classifications. We've got to talk to our guys on Board of Controls and things like that. All right, I talked enough. I'm sorry. Talk this long, everybody should be done. And then I was born.
Hillsborough never had a Jason Welch Day?
They should have. They should have had a Jason Welch Day in Hillsborough. That's probably the last time I was a good player, was at Hillsborough Elementary. But thank you guys.
Go Tigers.
Yes, sir.